Okay guys, stick around because today we're going to go through a land navigation and self-mapping technique that you can use next time you're in the field on the occasions that you don't have a map with you. This approach is called the PAW technique, and I've seen several different acronyms that kind of say this is what it stands for. I've seen positive azimuth uniform layout, and I think that's possibly what it is. Seems to make the most sense. I've seen point azimuth unit location. I've seen pace azimuth unfold and line. What I really think it is, several years ago, there's a gentleman whose name is Don Paul, not to be confused with the politician Ron Paul, wrote a book, and it is an absolute mouthpiece of a title. Let's see, it is the Green Berets Compass Course, the new way to stay found, open paren, not lost anywhere, close paren. So it's a really long book title. But we're going to go through and see what it all stands for, see what it all means, see how it works, pros, cons. Let's dive in. Okay, so this approach is going to require a couple things. One, you got to have a compass, and you got to know how to use the compass in relation to the terrain around you. You also need to have the ability to estimate pretty accurately what your distances are, whether that be through pace counting or through timing. And if you don't know how to use your compass or don't feel good with your pace counting and all that stuff, check the videos I've got linked in the description below. I'll try to fill in some of the gaps on those. So you also need a way to write down all of your measurements because you're going to be measuring both distances and directionality. So a good pen and pad would be a good way to do it. And ideally, something to go through, whether it's sticks to use as markers or a little bit of piece of string as we move it out, or you're going to be drawing on the ground. So if you get those little bit of tools as you go along, obviously we can source sticks while we're out in the woods, and we can draw lines instead of using strings. Perfectly fine if you want to do that. I think the string kind of shows up a little bit easier. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to go through and mark where we're starting out at. Get this thing stuck down in the ground. Now, when we started hiking, we had hiked down the trail from our initial starting point at 150 degrees. So the first thing we've got to do is mark that direction off on the ground that we're going to start with. So we're going to set our compass to 150. Get this all dialed in. We're going to align this with our starting point. So we got to get red in the shed here, making sure we've got everything lined up correctly. Now, from here, we need to go through and add our distance. So we're going to do that. Take our little piece of cordage here that we just tied a little loop around, and I'm going to extend it down the side of the compass here, trying to make sure to keep it straight and in alignment with the side of the compass. Now, we traveled at 110 meters, so for me, if I'm using about 10 inches per 100 meters, that's going to bring me to 11 inches of distance traveled. So I'm going to go through now. Get that marked out here. Take my tape measure, run down for 11 inches, stick another stake in the ground. This Texas ground is really hard right now. Now from there, we were sort of back on the trail, slight turn. We traveled at about 185 degrees from that next turn, and we traveled about 95 meters. So not a huge, really tight turn, kind of soft, but so we're going to go through, slide our compass into 185, get it lined up with our second position there, line our string out with that, make sure everything's lined up here. Got to stay accurate. All right, so we got that at 9. So now we need to add our 95 meters in, so that's going to be about 9.5 inches. Take our tape measure out. For 9.5, another stick in the ground. Should have waited and did this after we had a little bit of rain. All right, so at this point we turned and went straight west. So we turned and went 270 degrees. So we're going to line our compass up with 270. And line it out with the side of our compass again. And again, we traveled actually another 95 meters. Make sure everything's nice and snug here. So on our second 95 meters is again going to be another 9.5 inches measured. Come through here. Get another one stuck in the ground. Now at this point we've gone around the object that we're working around, so we're turning and going back northernly. So we're going to turn and actually go about 330 degrees. So I'm going to dial our compass up to 330, get it in alignment. And here we actually walked about 110 meters, so that's going to get me to, that's going to be 11 inches. Let me go through and get my tape measure on it. Just measure it out, get another stake in the ground. It's going to go right here. Now at this point, we're going to turn and go straight north. So we're going to dial our compass up here next to 0 degrees, and all we're doing is just working our way fictitiously around an object here in the middle. Let me get my compass over here. Gotta dial it up to 0 degrees while we're out here hiking. And then on this, we actually had to walk up 152.5 meters. So that is going to be, let's see, it's going to be 15.25 inches. Go through, measure this out. Gotta pull my string tight. Just about left that a little too loose over there. It's always essential to make these pulls as tight as you possibly can. You don't want to pull your markers over, but you still need to keep it nice and snug. Get another stake in the ground. Topo's over here visiting with us. Now it's right here that we've decided we want to go from one point to the other. We want to get back to where we started. And we could go all the way back around, but that's going to be less than ideal. So what we need to do is figure out how to calculate across here. So we're going to take and connect our string from our current position to our originating position. And then we're going to line our compass up with it, measure the angle for that. See how it lines up. So that's got us at about 120 degrees. So we know that's the direction we're going to head to get back to our originating point. Now we need to go through and figure out what the distance is going to be. I'm going to reach through here and measure across. This is going to be about 12.25 inches. So that's going to translate to about 122.5 meters. So now we know which way to go and how far to get there. We could have just as easily drawn that out. Started here, we went 150 degrees, so I just marked that off on my little tablet here. We traveled about 110 meters. At that point we had to turn. We turned to 185 degrees, so we're headed almost directly south. We traveled 95 meters. At that point we got there, so maybe our body of water, our lake, or whatever we're hiking around is here in the middle. We turned and went straight west at 270 degrees. We traveled that for 95 meters. At that point we got beyond there. So we turned at our third point and hiked up at 330 degrees for another 110 meters. Made it up here. We turned at 0 degrees at dead north for 152.5 meters. And it was at this point up here that we decided, how do I get back to our starting spot? So I draw a straight line from here, put your compass on there, measure it from here down along this angle. So that's 120 degrees, so that's the direction we need to head in the field. And then measuring from here to here with the ruler on the side of my compass gave me a conversion. It says I need to go about 122.5 meters. So one of the major downfalls of this approach, one, it's not the fastest thing while you're out in the field because you do have to meticulously measure and write down everything as you're moving through. It does work pretty well though. Having said that though, you also have to be very precise because if you're off just a little bit, especially if you're consistently off a little bit, when you get down trying to get your final answer, you're gonna be on the struggle bus. Okay, so hopefully you can see the uses and functionalities and benefits of this approach. It is like a lot of the navigational techniques. It's going to require a lot of practice to get really comfortable with it. So practice, practice, practice. Do it when you're in a familiar area. Next time you're out in the field, when your life's not depending on it, go out and practice it. Land navigation can be fun. It's worth the effort. Take the time. Figure it out.